frontline workers. Thanks for your time at breakfast.
We should say the government declined to comment further, telling us they have nothing further to add to what the Home Secretary, Amber Rudd, was saying in the comments yesterday.
It is just coming up to 6:45. This is Breakfast from BBC News, and these are the main stories this morning. There's a change on the way, and more. Is it mist or is it fog? Morning.
Good morning.
To our main story this morning, at least 21 million Americans have already been casting their votes for who they want to be their next president. Hillary Clinton, who had been leading opinion polls, says she's confident an FBI investigation into newly discovered emails will find she has no case to answer. But it seems the investigation has boosted support for her rival Donald Trump, with polls suggesting her lead is narrowing. What we're going to do right now is a kind of breakfast explainer that I'm looking forward to because we're going to learn a lot. I'm joined now by Scott to talk about. Let's talk about the polls first of all, because they do seem to be getting closer. What can you tell us about them? What do you make of it?
It's getting interesting. I mean, after a very bad month for Donald Trump, where he had all the scandals, he's rallied in the last...
US election, it has this electoral college, so you can explain to us exactly how this works. Go for it.
You see, in America, the guy who or the woman who gets the most votes doesn't necessarily win because Americans don't vote directly for a candidate. They vote for these 538 delegates across the country, and so you've got to get 270 of those delegates. Now, those vary from state to state. So up there in the Northeast, you know, there's tiny little Vermont, New Hampshire. They've only got 3 or 4. California, 55. That's the big prize. But let's think of it as Donald Trump has got 3 hurdles he's got to clear to win. And if he fails at any one of them, then that's it.
Yep.
He's got to secure some Republican states that are vulnerable. There's Georgia down here in the Southeast. You've got Arizona here. And then you got this strange case of Utah where there's an independent 6 electoral votes, which makes a big difference. So that's the first hurdle.
Yep.
Here's number 2. Trump's then got to win the big swing states. Now, your viewers will probably know a couple of them. We always talk about Florida down here. Remember 2000 Midwest? And right next to it, Wisconsin. And if he does that, then we get to the...
Forward wind to next week.
Sure.
When will we start getting answers? Because I know some people will want to have the answers. Some people will be watching all night and watching as these states light up.
You better have the counting.
Yeah.
Still Tuesday evening. And we look at Little New Hampshire. That'll be the first place to return.
And as you're saying, that could be in some ways an indicator.
It is very much an indicator. Also North Carolina, which is here right in the mid-Atlantic. If Clinton does well in those 2 states...
No, until sort of 10 in the morning or something like that.
It could go well.
Let's just talk really briefly about events over the last couple of weeks or so. We've heard about these emails, and the FBI, and also about Trump, of course, those videos as well. What do you make of all of those things that have been going on?
It's bad news for Clinton because right now the candidate does not want to be in the limelight. Donald Trump was slipping because everyone was talking about...
Okay, you obviously study this, the minutiae, you're obviously fascinating. How do you summarise it? Has it been a fascinating race? What's it been like? I mean, it's been bad-tempered, hasn't it?
Yeah, after November 8th, to be honest with you.
It's really interesting talking to you. I'm sure we'll speak to you again. Scott Lucas, a Professor of American Studies at University of Birmingham. Thank you very much for all that. It's very informative. If you fancy also having a go at deciding who will win, you can play our Predict the President game on the BBC website. You can find out more if you do play that game, as well about those key states and who you think will win the election. You can find it by going to bbc.co.uk/news. Click on the US election. If you scroll down, I've done it this morning, you can find that picture. Professor Scott Lucas, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Good morning. Thanks for coming on. If you're watching this morning and your local hospital is in...
The Professor Rich programme.
Yes, it has.
Like
we like professors. You're watching Breakfast on BBC News. The main stories for you again this morning. Sean's here. Oh, you're all right there. Sean's
just catching the emails that we've been sent.
Well caught. Sean's here today talking about business news, and we were talking about Mark Carney a lot yesterday, and loads of the front pages have gone with a picture of